Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Boyos Discuss, the podcast where we pick a topic and then shoot the shit about it for a while. This week, we're finishing off our review of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy with arguably one of the worst superhero movies ever made, but we'll get to that. I'm Matthew, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Harlan.
Howdy, guys.
Ben.
Yo.
And Ross.
Hello.
So just a couple of facts about the movie before we get into the plot. It came out 3 years after Spider-Man 2, had a budget of somewhere between $258 and $350 million. And just for a, contrast, Spider-Man 1 had a budget of $139 million, Spider-Man 2 had $200 million. And as far as what it made at the box office, this one actually made the most out of all three of them. It made $895 million, whereas Spider-Man 1 made $825 million and Spider-Man 2 made $789 million. And that made this the highest grossing movie of 2007, which, oof, that says a lot about 2007 and what came out that year, I guess. But similar to Spider-Man 2, which had like an extended cut, this actually did get an official edit later on called Spider-Man 3, the director's cut. It came out on the 10-year anniversary of Spider-Man 3, and it's weird because usually with these types of cuts, it's like, oh yeah, they're going to be longer, you know, they'll add a bunch of scenes, but this one was actually 2 minutes shorter than the theatrical version, so just sort of an odd thing, but do any of y'all have any memories of this movie? I do remember seeing this in theaters and being like, oh god.
I
loved this when I was younger.
Really?
Oh god.
Yeah. No, I mean, it looked so cool.
I actually kind of liked it this time.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hey, there are good parts for sure. It's also got the classic Tobey Maguire, I don't know, weird faces and angst
alpha
and stuff.
male.
Oh my god.
This was 2007, right?
Yeah.
2007. So I was 10, and by then I had like really dived into the Spider-Man animated series on Disney and watched the fuck out of it. The like 90s animated one, and it was awesome. That is one of the best shows. And my favorite episode, and it made him my favorite villain, was the whole like symbiote arc where he gets the black suit and then has to rip it off, and then it gets on Eddie and he's Venom, and Venom and him fight. It was the coolest arc of that show to me as a kid.
Yeah.
I fucking lived and breathed Venom, and I was like, Venom is the shit. And then when this movie was announced, and there's the posters with the black suit and everything, I was beyond hyped. I was like, this is it. Like, I want to see my favorite shit ever. And I was not happy when I left the theater. Like, I didn't really... I had a huge problem with, like, Eddie Brock is, like, choice of, like, with Topher Grace. And the slimness of the Venom suit instead of this huge, bulky, massive thing. And then it was, like, on screen for maybe 3 minutes. Like, with this suit
there
and everything.
Go.
So, I don't
it's
even
just
think they said
this
the name
fucking
Venom.
movie is too packed in. But
I know.
mean,
Dude, there's so much.
we'll
Right,
kinda
but I just,
get into
that's my
that, but
memory, is I was so, like heartbroken. I was like, what the fuck? But also
to
I was
that
dumb,
point, Ben.
because I watched Dark Knight, and I was like, that's not the Joker! And now I know I'm an idiot.
Oh, wait.
But, so I was this picky kid.
Yeah. I was going to say, when did Batman Begins come out? Was that the same year? Or was that like a few years earlier?
I think it was later, I think.
No, Batman Begins was 2005, apparently. So, like,
Really?
it's just crazy that by this point, that had kind of changed how superhero movies were. And this was kind of like almost a holdout, just in terms of, I don't know, not really
Or like a
modernizing
response
things, yeah. But anyone else have any interesting memories or stories with this movie?
Well, I think the reason so many people watched it in '07 and it was the highest grossing movie was because of what Ben's saying. Like, everyone was so goddamn excited to see Venom. Like, Venom is one of the most famous Spider-Man and like, well-liked Spider-Man villains, you know? So I think that's probably why it did so well, at least initially. But yeah, it was... Then we got the movie, and it was...
right.
You know,
Venom goes into Carnage, which is even fucking
right.
cooler. So it's like, oh boy, are they building into that? And then, you know.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting when I was reading about the production of the movie was that originally Venom wasn't going to be in it. and it was like the writer of the screenplay basically like convinced Sam Raimi to include him, and it kind of shows just because it's like just a thing that happens, and it's like, that's
It's so weird because it's like such a huge plot line is the suit, Peter's reaction to it, him taking it off, and then that needs like you need that for Venom. So that's a movie. Like
yeah.
I think if it was just
episode.
Venom and not Sandman or something, that might have been better.
Yeah. So you have an hour and a half of the animated
would...
series dedicated to it, and that's
so
a movie-length thing.
I don't think it really would have made sense if it was just Sandman, though. I don't think he's strong enough of a villain to be.
It would have been Harry as well. Yeah. So it's
which is what this movie should have focused on.
Seriously, yeah, because that's what they were building to.
Yeah, the whole last movies were building to that, and then everything they did with Harry was just super disappointing.
I know.
But we'll get to
Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, we can just jump right into the synopsis then. I'm going to kick things over to Harlan for that, so...
All right, guys. So, like the classic movies, everything's going to open up with another spider web, except this one's going to be darker with the symbiote kind of spewing out. And what was kind of interesting to me is that they showed some footage from the second film, which was surprising.
The first and second, I think.
Yeah.
And it was so much lamer than 2, because 2 had it like drawn
the animated ones.
Yeah.
It was
and this was just kind of meh.
It just kind of seemed shoehorned in, like they remembered it, and then they didn't put the film over it, or like the cellophane thing to do over it.
Yeah, it didn't have style. It was just like...
Yeah. But Peter kind of has a hold on his life now, and all of his problems are solved, but they're still like... But Pete is still the biggest bitch in the world.
Oh my god, yes.
Well,
my god.
I took a note specifically for this. Why are there bullies blowing spitballs in his college class?
I know.
Dude, I was thinking the same thing.
Biggest pussy.
Like, who cares that much about other people once you get to college?
Yeah.
You're paying so much money to fucking go to college. You're not going to be doing
I'm shooting spitballs at this nerd.
Also, he's in like a physics lecture with Dr. Connors, who's very like esteemed. Like, who are these bozos behind him?
I just thought yeah.
But they also show Gwen Stacy off in that, and that's kind of where they establish, like, Pete kind of has a crush on her, and she kind of has a crush on him, but it's not like
she was in this movie, and I thought that was just an Easter egg, and I'm like, oh, cool, Gwen Stacy. Like, but people didn't notice that, and then they've just, like...
yeah, no one noticed it.
Yeah. Thanks for the rest, though.
I'm just going to say, so the movie starts without Peter having any problems. Why? Like, Spider-Man 2 was about him not being able to manage his life. What changed?
Nothing. I know. It's literally
can manage it now.
The only thing that changed is he stopped hanging out with Harry, and he got fired from his job.
And Aunt May told him, "Hey, you can't have what you want."
Yeah, how's he paying for his apartment? Like, they just don't talk about any of the important things we dealt with in the last movie.
Yeah, it's almost like the last movie kind of didn't happen.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it feels like the last movie didn't happen.
You're kind of right. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch the second one this time around, and I was fine watching this one, so maybe it is like it didn't happen.
Okay, but obviously Harry's still mad at Peter. They go to see MJ's recital, and Harry's sitting there kind of creepily looking at Peter down from below.
He's got the fucking binoculars staring at him. Dude.
It's crazy. And then, so it ends, and Peter sees Harry, and Harry's just like, "Fuck you, Peter. I'm not talking to you." And then just runs into his car and drives off. Peter doesn't know what to do. He turns around and sees MJ, and they're, like, happy. They have a kiss, and then they go out to this, like... This is, like, the most iconic scene for me for some reason, is this scene where MJ and Peter are just sitting in the, like, web, looking up at the sky, and then the fucking meteor just hits the ground.
Where the fuck are they?
They're just in Central Park, I guess.
Yeah.
No, you can't see the goddamn stars in Central Park. Are you high?
No, you can't. But
movie.
Yeah. What?
Nah, man. And then if they're in Central Park, right? That is populated, very populated. So there's just this dude chilling with a girl.
No, it's Spider-Man.
Up in the trees.
He gets privacy.
Yeah.
No, they need to go somewhere. I don't know
They
where. It's not Central Park.
I think it would have
No.
been funny if there was like an arc where Spider-Man was hanging out with MJ and they were hung up in like the buildings or something, kind of hidden.
Yeah.
And someone happens to see them.
That
But-
sounds
Also,
like
third
something
point-
that would be in like a
third
video
point.
game.
Yeah.
If a meteor crashed in Central Park, I think people would take notice.
I
Yeah.
know.
I do
They're
have
not in Central Park.
I do have a bit of trivia about the meteor. So in an early draft of the movie, they actually had John Jameson, who was the astronaut from Spider-Man 2, returning from a space mission with the symbiote as a stowaway. But in order to save time and money, they just did the meteorite thing instead.
And that was what happened in the animated show.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
how
what
it
happens
started.
in the like lore. So
Right.
When it's like that would
So-
have made a lot more sense. Like,
Dude, it was so just like, what? Like, that's the softest meteor ever. Like, what a polite meteor. Just
I know.
fucking, like, plops down. And
It's
they
like
don't
that-
notice it.
yeah,
Have you ever seen Joe Dirt?
no.
Okay, so in Joe Dirt, there's a part where a meteor comes out and it's just a giant, like a septic tank exploded, and it's just a giant ball of shit. And that's what I think this is. It's like a septic tank exploded.
That was the symbiote space shit.
Yes. But,
No,
I mean,
Okay,
literally,
yeah.
it was just convenient to shove it in for the plot, like you said, to
And-
save
but,
time
like,
and money, and that's
Why put it
that's what
there?
it
It's
was.
not relevant for another hour.
No, it doesn't have to make sense, Ben. Just
Yeah,
shove
And
it in.
it's the black suit
Save
in
money.
at an hour mark.
But Ben,
I
if
checked.
we don't have it there, then when it attaches to Peter's moped, it won't form a V.
How about this? How about this?
Ooh.
How about
Foreshadowing.
instead of him bringing it to Dr. Connor to study, somebody else brings it to Dr. Connors to be like, hey, you know stuff like this.
Maybe the
You look at
astronaut.
it, and then
But he
Zen's
doesn't. No,
class.
no, because Dr. Connors is a physicist.
I
Yeah,
know.
why
why
does
do
he
they
know
say
anything
that?
about
He's
it?
like, I'm not a biologist. I don't know why you brought this to me.
So
but-
Matthew, how about just say, "Oh, I'm kind of a biologist," instead of "I'm not a biologist," and then they
Yeah.
bring it to him, and then it gets on Peter. How about that? How about not a horrible shit meteor landing wherever the fuck they are? It was just dumb,
Just pull the Norman Osborn. I'm somewhat of a scientist myself.
yeah.
dude. That was retarded. Like that in the first 10 minutes, my disbelief is out the fucking window. Like my suspension is gone. I'm like, what
It was
the
dumb.
fuck was that?
I mean,
That's
Matthew's
lazy.
trivia perfectly handles that. It literally just says, "Yeah, they save time and money." Well,
Yeah.
we can
God,
tell.
it
We can tell.
But yeah, so it attaches
what a
to
fucking
Peter's bike,
coincidence.
and
It's
then
awesome.
so we're introduced to Marco's character, which is Sandman, but they never call him Sandman. And
Yeah,
Did they really never say
No,
it?
well, I think the newspaper people are like, oh, the Sandman, or like there's a news headline thing.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
Sandman
no.
at it
In the
again.
last fight, when Spider-Man's looking at the TV, and then reporters talking, they're like, "Sandman has
Oh,
this."
yeah.
Oh yeah.
so
Yeah.
okay, so they say it then, but they keep calling him Marco before then.
Yeah.
And he's on the run from the police, and he goes and checks on his sick daughter. His daughter's dying of something. You don't know what. He's sort of a good dad, maybe. And then
Well, he
No.
says the line, "I'm not a bad person. I just have
Yeah.
bad luck," and it's like
Yeah.
that's not really how that works. But
no, you
I
are
will
like
say,
the
though,
worst person in this movie.
The casting, Thomas Hayden Church for this role. This is the best representation of a comic book character in this entire trilogy. He looks.
I
fucking
don't know.
he
I
was
thought
good.
spot
Osborn
on.
was really
Yeah.
good. Osborn was really good.
I mean,
Or not
he was
Osborn,
a great interpretation.
Doc Ock. Doc Ock
And
was perfect, I thought.
Yeah.
I think in
Who would
terms
be
of staying
better?
true to the character, I'd say that Sandman is.
I'm just saying, Sandman with not just the actor, but like the design, the shirt,
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
the costume and the actor together. It was like straight out of the comic book.
Like
he looked
when
great.
when they first have him on screen and he does that like one kind of action pose and they show
Yeah.
his face with the light, it's like, okay, that's the Sandman, yeah. He's like, you know what I'm talking about when he's like looking kind of surprised, like
He's,
in the
he's
lights.
watching a cop car go by in the back of his head, and then he turns around real dramatically and the lights in his face. Whoa!
There's like so many more cheesy things like that in this one than there
Yeah.
were in like the first two. I feel like
I kinda
there's
love
just
it.
a lot of weird poses and like I don't know, like
One-liners.
Yeah.
Like, there's
Mhm,
tons
mhm.
of one-liners in this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But, yeah, so he leaves. Then we're seeing Peter going to see Aunt May, and he's talking about proposing to
Why-
MJ.
Why does he do this at like 1 a.m?
I don't know.
He shows up at Aunt May's house, and then Aunt May is like talking about her proposal, and she goes into like a weird amount of detail.
She starts crying.
Yeah,
That was nice. I like that.
That was
it
nice.
was weird. She got
Well,
a little
it made
too
sense
into
to
it.
me.
Like,
Well,
No,
she
dude,
steals every scene she's in.
Yes.
Like Ben said. Like,
Dude, she's Aunt May.
Yeah.
She's the
Of
best
course.
actor in this trilogy.
Better than William Dafoe.
Absolutely.
Are you saying William?
Yes.
Willem.
I don't give a fuck.
That's not a real name.
Okay, so she gives him the her old ring, the ring that Ben proposed with, and then on Peter's way home, Harry just swoops down and picks him up and attacks him, like just pulls him out off of his bike, and then they start fighting.
Dude, and he says you knew this was coming, Pete, and honestly, he should have known. Harry's right. He should have known that this was going to come at some point.
100%.
And he didn't.
It was just kind of awkward that they had like "Ooh you" like earlier at the
Well, we missed the introduction to like the new Goblin suit. It shows like the Green Goblin one. There's like a cool looking chrome one,
like unpainted,
and then it's just a fucking
ski mask.
Or like a paintball mask, and it's
Yeah,
like,
paintball
dude,
mask.
like, how did we get here from like
That
such a
costume
cool
design
It's so
is
bad.
Fucking garbage.
Yeah, it
was
dumb.
the worst. And they do that stupid ass thing where the helmet unfolds and it's like choo choo, and then the sound effects. And it's
Well,
fucking.
it's like they had to make it cool somehow, and they were like, just add some CG, like to make it like fold out and shit. Also, like this
he
fight.
sold toys of that mask, tons of that mask toy,
and it's
and
literally
'cause it was
just a paintball
easy
mask.
to fucking make.
Yeah, Jesus.
And it's like his surfboard. He's like a skater surfer on his hoverboard.
The
thing.
CG
And
in
it's
this
stupid
fucking
as fuck.
fight was horrible. And this whole movie, like it looked like I specifically wrote it reminded me of Spy Kids 3D. Like,
oh my gosh.
Not that bad, but like
Dude.
it was like they did it to be a 3D movie. And in terms of like the stuff he's doing when he's flying around on the hoverboard thing,
Totally,
but
I can see that.
dude, it was just.
I think you're right. I think.
Also, in this fight, shouldn't Toby be like a better fighter than Harry by now? Because Harry kind of just started doing this, and Toby's had like 5 years since
He's
the
got
first
the
movie
serum.
came out.
Yeah, he's been putting
serum.
that goblin gas.
Well,
in him.
yeah, but he's got the goblin gas, but
Also,
Toby
Toby
has
does.
the spider goop in his veins.
Not
so
yet.
It's like,
Well,
No,
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
The normal
beats
spider group.
him
Yeah.
up though. Like he beats Carrie so bad that he gets a concussion that he doesn't remember the past 5 years. Like he beats the shit out of him.
No, that's only because he clotheslined him and Harry was flying and he just fell. Dude, that's all.
You see how he fell?
Yeah, he just fell though. It wasn't like
I'd also
Toby
argue that
didn't do that.
Harry seems just as skilled as his father at being the Goblin guy.
Yeah.
And I don't think in the first movie Spider-Man ever like actually beat the Green Goblin. Like the Green Goblin kills himself on accident.
Yeah.
He's like, ooh, but like in the first movie, Spider-Man gets his ass kicked. Like that beat down scene in the
that's
first movie
'cause
is the hardest he
Spider-Man
gets his ass kicked. So he has gotten better because he beats him the first time Harry shows up.
Yeah,
I agree.
but still, it was a little closer than I thought it should be. Anyways, that's not a whole point, just a part point.
Yeah, but so
No, that sucked.
he
And
clotheslines
coming
him.
off of Spider-Man 2, sorry, the effects of Spider-Man 2 with the fights were amazing.
It looks so much better.
So good.
And I don't understand why.
It's got a higher budget too. It's
nuts.
There's no excuse.
Yeah.
but
But,
so you
then we get to see Toby's CPR face.
Yeah, he puts him in his car, takes him to the hospital, right? And then he has short-term memory loss. He doesn't even remember that Peter was ever Spider-Man.
But
he
like,
still
how
remembers-
short term? Because they
Yeah,
don't
He remembers
define
his
it.
dad's dead.
Dude, yeah, no.
Yeah,
But
he
sort of
remembers that
like
Spider-Man killed his dad too.
no, well, I don't know that he does. He's like, did my dad die? And Peter's like, yeah. And so
And he said it like smiling and
yeah,
happy.
he was
bro.
smiling about
You're
it.
my best friend, Pete.
One, it's like I just don't know, like, because then later on there's stuff where they're talking about like does he think he's like just out of high school? Like, I don't know. They don't really define where he he lost his memory, like, or what he does remember, I guess. But that's just
he just keeps saying he lost his memory.
Yeah,
he's like, I don't remember,
and he acts like everything is like the first time he's experiencing it, like fucking cotton candy. He's like so into the cotton candy. Like,
well, he acts high as shit the entire time. Like James Franco, until he gets his memories back, he is like on fucking Percocets.
He's like dazed and confused, but
he's
strangely
acting
happy.
like he did as Tommy and fucking the Disaster Artist.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, yeah.
The way that he like flips the egg later on, and it just he looked like it flips and it breaks in half, and then he just gives this like retarded looking face down. Like,
you're totally right.
What?
I was trying to put a description to it, but yeah, it's just like he's high on something and he's like
and
a
that did
little
not seem
child,
scripted.
innocent.
Like he's just like, check it out, and flies up his food. But yeah,
okay,
no.
So he's suffering from the short-term memory loss. During this time that he's going through the hospital, we're also seeing Sandman running from the police, falling in the pit, and completing his transformation. MJ comes to Peter's apartment and complains about a critic she received when Peter hears a call on the police scanner, and he has to leave her. During this, the symbiote sneaks through the apartment, and MJ is left feeling dejected. I thought this was going to be a small thing, like, oh, MJ's just making a big deal, and she feels bad because Peter's not paying attention to her. But this is literally, like, what spells doom for their relationship.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Real quick, back to the Sandman turning into Sandman. There's so much random, like, I don't know, just weird science shit in this Spider-Man universe.
What I don't
randomly happens to these people.
A couple things I don't understand. Why are they doing particle physics tests outside of New York City, like a few blocks away? And then more than that, why are they doing the tests at like 3 a.m?
Well, like, I mean, come on, that's just comic book stuff. Like,
I
the Hulk was in the blast of a nuclear bomb, and he's the Hulk now. And
all I'm saying is, a lot happens in like a 2 to 3 hour time period.
Oh yeah,
and
now, since we're talking about the Sandman, I actually really liked his like restructuring scene. I thought that was awesome.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like,
I'm a sucker for the atomic level zoom in thing.
I was so scared of them doing this thing they did the entire trilogy, and I'll tell you what it is. It's when the fucking person by themselves goes, "What's happening to me? Is this real? Oh no! Am I going to be able to see my They're just like narrating to themselves. What's going on? Am I just sand now?" And they do this whole scene without any spoken dialogue, and it's all show don't tell. And I was like, "Wow, Sam! You had it in you. Good job, Mr. Raimi. You could do the scene without dialogue."
I bet you he didn't put dialogue to it, though, because he was sand, though. And he was just like...
But I liked it. You could see emotion on sand particles, and I was like, man, this is like, I'm in the scene. Like, this is...
It's like I'm in the sand.
Yeah, I felt for it. I was like, fuck, man, that would suck if you just
it would.
Sand.
Like, I did have a lot of sympathy for the Sandman.
Yeah.
Movie.
Oh my gosh, dude. I did not feel sympathy for him at all. He's a bad dude. No.
Well, like, for the rest of the movie, I don't. But in that scene, it was just like, a really well done scene.
Yeah, in the early, like, development of his character, I felt real bad for him. Later, he's just like, I'm angry as Spider-Man. But, you know, this early bit, I liked for him a lot.
And it reminded me of Dr. Manhattan, where he, like, gets into a science thing, gets blown apart, and then has to figure out how to restructure himself.
Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, Dr. Manhattan's was much better, though, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Okay,
it just made me think of it.
Oh, yeah, MJ's upset. There's apparently a critic that says that she has too meek of a voice. She cries. Peter's like, I'm Spider-Man, and then goes and to accident. It's a crane swinging out of control and smashes into the building that Gwen Stacy is currently doing modeling pictures in. Eddie Brock shows up down below, and he's like, oh my god, is that Gwen? And then Police Chief Stacy's like, what? He's like, I'm dating her. And Spider-Man comes and saves the day.
One thing kind of interesting about that is Bryce Dallas Howard, she actually did her stunts in that scene. and she was
Really?
pregnant at the time,
Dang.
but she didn't know that she was. So
Oh.
Damn.
Neat.
yeah,
That's insane. But yeah, so he Spider-Man touches down, brings Gwen down, and Eddie Brock's like, "Can I get a few pictures for the Daily Bugle?" And then they have this awkward exchange, and then Spider-Man leaves. They both show up, or Peter shows up at the Daily Bugle. Jay Jonas is struggling to manage his anger because of his heart pressure. When Eddie comes in, tries to sell photos of Spider-Man, and Peter comes in, and they kind of talk about it, and are like battling, and there's the like Jameson's right hand man is like, oh, but Eddie Brock's is cheaper, but Peter's been here for a long time, and Jay offers a staff position for the person who can bring a photo of Spider-Man doing something bad or being evil.
Dude, he's still on that evil thing, and it's been like 3 movies of Spider-Man doing good shit. I don't remember what happened in the second one very well, but
Pretty much
why
that.
does he still
It's-
want
yeah.
Spider-Man to be evil? It's been a while.
Well, that's
Jay
kind of like
Jonah
his, that's his like
okay.
personality. That's what he does.
what
That's
do y'all
his-
think of Eddie Brock though? Like
Fuck him,
he's
dude.
acting like a huge douche, and he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
flirting with people, and it's like I don't look at Topher Grace and think, oh yeah, that's a fucking Chad dude right there.
Oh yeah, it was
And
bad
it's
like-
casting.
Yeah, it was.
And
It
very
doesn't matter
poor
about his
casting.
24 pounds he gained. It was bad
Yeah,
casting.
yeah.
And here's the thing: Eddie didn't need to be an unlikable asshole. He could have been a good person.
True.
He could have been trying his best, and he could have been doing good. And then Peter could have fucked him, and you'd be like, "Wow, yeah, that was messed up." Peter's
then
black
you'd
suit's
have
really
more
getting to him.
connection to it,
And
yeah.
then you like Topher didn't need to be this just like I'm dating this girl. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a loser. No way.
One like they one of the things of trivia, it said that Topher Grace based his performance on alcoholics and drug addicts, and I'm like, why? What does that
Yeah,
have to do
why?
with the character?
Why?
That's not who Eddie
why?
Brock is. Like,
The only reason I could see casting Topher Grace in any like role in a Spider-Man movie is to be like an antithesis to Peter, and I think that's what they were trying to go for. But it's dumb.
it is so
they don't
dumb.
do it well at all.
He should have just stuck to that 70s show. Like, I don't know. Like, the payout for this was probably way bigger, but he, like, quit that show to be in this, and it's like...
Oh, really?
oof. Yeah, he did. That's why he wasn't in
And
the last
this
season.
movie's going to be really dated because there's a lot of like the Harry Osborn surfer paintball mask and
Yeah.
the frosted tips on,
Oh.
on Eddie Brock. It's just like, God, get this 2000s out of my face.
It's a classic.
No.
But
Anyways.
okay, so right after that scene, we have the Stan Lee scene, and this one's actually really one of his bigger scenes where he looks straight at Tobey Maguire and he's like, "I think one person can make a difference."
Mhm.
Enough said. And then
I mean, Spider-Man's his favorite. Or was,
Yeah.
I guess, you know.
but in the other movies, he was very, very small.
He was like a
Yeah,
crowd member
true.
running away.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He knew this one was going to be the big one.
All right, so Peter takes Harry home, and he can't really remember anything still, and he's still acting like he's super high. But he goes through, and he's got the moves because he knocks some stuff over and catches it. So, Peter remarks that.
Mhm.
Later on, they show MJ being fired from her show on Broadway. She walks in, and there's another person who's already replaced her. The producers are pretty rude about it, and then just kind of push her away. And she
Yeah,
doesn't
that
tell
scene
Peter.
was fucked up.
Dude,
Yeah.
Dude, that is how fucking Broadway is.
They were
I
like,
swear
"Oh,
to
Yeah,
God.
I mean,
Well,
they said that was
about
handled
it.
poorly, and it was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it was.
Mhm.
Oh my
So-
god.
They were like,
That felt real.
"We tried to fire you and be nice about it, but you're fired. Goodbye."
Yeah.
But so okay, so MJ's fired. She doesn't tell Peter, and there's like the Spider-Man Day parade thing going on, and
Dude, holy
And Toby
shit.
makes the dumbest face I've probably ever seen when he's like looking at the parade. But he just
It's-
he
it's
has
so
that
funny.
same dumb face in like
Well,
any
obviously.
scene he's in.
he's so
literally
happy.
He's like surprised but happy, but
Yeah.
confused also. Like
Dude,
Yeah.
and this Spider-Man parade thing was literally just like a Spider-Man ego suckfest. Like it's they're building up the whole early
Well, and
part
they're
of the
like-
movie for that, and for
they're
MJ to be
beating you-
jealous of
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But still, it's like it's so weird. They just have this Spider-Man day, and it's like, oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
And that's the whole
It's
point.
so dumb.
That's the whole point. It makes no sense.
All right. So, oh, you had something to say?
No, I was. Once we get to the part where they give him the key to the city, I'll mention something.
Okay, so during this time, Sandman is chased by the police again, and I have a big problem with this part. He goes and he hides in the truck of sand, right? And the cop comes up and he's going to start stabbing the sand and everything. But Sandman instead punches him and kills him very clearly.
Yes.
And he tries to go, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
I just have bad
Dude, yeah, he
luck.
just literally shot that guy 30 feet through a
Do
windshield.
you know how easy it would be to run away if you're just sand?
You know how easy it is right after that. You know what he does again, though?
He doesn't know how to
could've
control
literally
his
just
power
been
spin.
sand, not cared, and
Yeah.
took the shovel stab. But no, he kills this poor man. He had a family. Maybe he had a daughter that was
He
sick
was
just
2
like
weeks
yours.
away from retirement, dude.
This guy's
You
also
monster.
retarded. Like, if I was sand, there's so many ways you could steal money without making it so super, like, obvious and
God.
killing
Oh my
people
God.
to get it and stuff.
Oh,
You're sand! You are sand, my guy.
But he literally tears up the entire intersection and then starts, sand flying away like the smoke monster from Lost. And he just... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, so, like, and the cops who start out, like, they see him and they're like, oh, that's the guy who we've been looking for. They're like, oh, hey, you, halt. Like, this super stereotypical cop thing.
Stop
And then,
right there. You
conveniently,
violated the
the
law.
sand supply depot has just, like, left their truck right there. So he can just hop in the back. And it's like, okay. Yeah, and he should have just chilled there instead of murdering someone. But, you know.
The coincidences
Show
get
goes
really
on.
annoying.
Yeah.
There's way too many. And Sandman's, I'm saying, like, barely it's a theme song, but whenever Sandman's on screen, they play this, like, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And it just makes me think of,
Dude, well-
if y'all played Wind Waker, and there's the Goma battle.
Yeah,
When you have
yeah.
to rope on the tail and drop the rock on it. It's that music. It is that. It's just like, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, cool.
And
Yes, there's big notes.
I really wonder if Danny Elfman had done the music for this one as well, if it would have been better for it.
yeah,
'Cause,
I
like,
noticed he didn't.
Yeah.
It was in the he did. It was like theme by Danny Elfman, but then Christopher something.
Christopher Young
did the music.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the
And it's just
editing
like,
in this scene, I had a big problem with too, though. Like the music, the editing, like all of it, just gave me really bad whiplash. Like so they show that scene where it's MJ talking to Peter, and he changes into his Spider-Man suit, and then it cuts to this part, right, where it's Sandman being chased by the police, and then this fight. I thought that the entire Spider-Man Day Parade was over.
Yeah.
Like I just thought that was it.
Really?
And it was because it's a different part of the city, I guess, but it doesn't seem like it's a parade. It just seems like another normal day, and I don't know. It just gave me whiplash.
It must have
Yeah.
been happening really close to the parade, so he was gonna like swing in, and they would be all happy, and then he'd be like, "Oh shit, sand guy doing sand shit."
Yeah,
Gotta
But
go
they
stop
don't
it.
even fight yet. Like, it's not till later that they fight, right?
He
No, they
stops
fight
here. Yeah, he
Oh, they do?
stops.
yeah, this is like the
Yeah.
armored car.
Oh, okay, yeah, you're right.
So,
Yeah, okay.
Spider-Man. I'll keep going on, and we'll get to that. So Sandman brushes through the crowd, and he's running from So Harry and MJ begin to talk right after that. So Sandman has punched the person, and he floated away as a smoke monster. Harry and MJ start to talk, and she tells Harry that she lost her job. She didn't tell Peter that, but she tells Harry. And then Spider-Man swings in, and he goes, Shazam! Again. Then
And
he
the-
kisses Gwen Stacy.
But you forget,
But why?
the fucking crowd loses their shit.
Dude,
There's this
yeah.
extra
Oh my
in the
God.
background behind Spider-Man who is like flailing and like grabbing her head while she screams.
Like
She
that
is
guy
so
from Avatar who
excited.
passes
That's
out
exactly what I was
when they
thinking of.
sing.
That's literally
Falls in the
what it is.
Well, she also, like, while he's about to kiss Gwen Stacy, everybody's like, "Fuck yeah!
Yeah, get it in, Spidey!
Fuck her!
It's fucking weird.
Hang out that spider cock, Spider."
Yeah, y'all take your pants off right now. It's weird. And also, why did he kiss her other than just to piss MJ off?
He
like,
knows
it made no
MJ's
sense.
in the
He didn't
crowd.
even have the symbiote.
And he does
yet.
that
know.
kiss
Does he?
specifically.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
He
It
goaded
made
her
no sense.
into it too.
Yeah.
Dude,
Like he
like,
suggested
that was-
it to her.
It's just why? Why?
Why?
There's no point.
They're like, the movie has to happen. It's like, but it doesn't make sense.
Oh,
it
that's
has
why.
to happen.
But like right after this, it's like later on, MJ confronts him later on, but he's just like, "It's just a kiss."
He's like, I don't mean it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just slobbered on this hot girl in front of the entire city. What?
What? I was dressed as Spider-Man, okay?
Yeah,
that makes
I
it
can't be
okay.
blamed
Like
for
imagine
anything.
if in your bedroom you did like a super like this is our special thing, and then you'd like show that special thing to a city. I think your significant
Special
other would be upset.
Well, okay. So the funny thing is that so MJ, you say that, and you're like, "Oh, I'm wearing the Spider-Man suit. It makes me a different person." MJ straight up uses that logic later on.
Yeah, no,
Which he
that
goes-
also doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, were you Spider-Man or were you Peter? What?
Neither's
Spider-Man.
okay,
Never
bitch.
addressed
What?
again.
Yeah. But so Sandman brushes through the crowd in a form of sand, and he steals money from an armored truck. Spider-Man leaps to stop him from stealing the money, but he gets away. Peter remarks, "Where do all of these guys come from?" Which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking the same thing. There's literally
Yeah.
4 superheroes in this movie, and
Yeah.
you know it's kind of a lot.
Also, this scene made me think of the Sandman. Like that's been in a different form. That's been in the Spider-Man series with his pocket sand special move. Anyways, I decided I'm gonna have to fit him in to each one. Love you,
So after this, we have Snooty Host Part 2, and it's the same host from
It's Bruce
Spider-Man 2.
Campbell again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was
And
hilarious. That was the
He
funniest
was
part.
much nicer
great,
this
yeah.
one, though. So I like that, where he wasn't like a douche like he was in the last one. He was actually kind of nice.
He
So-
calls him Peter Pecker, which
Yeah.
is funny.
Be the pick. But yeah, so Peter sets up the proposal dinner with the host to put the classic ring in the champagne, and he shoves his foot in the mouth repeatedly when he's talking to MJ during this to propose. So she gets in, and they're talking. She's kind of upset because he just kissed Gwen Stacy, and
And who's
Then-
at the dinner?
yeah,
Gwen
for some reason, Gwen
Stacy.
Stacy walks
Yeah.
in as she says it.
and he just talks to her like
New
nothing.
York
And you're
apparently
like,
is the
she's
size
like,
of a baseball
why are you angry?
diamond.
She
No,
couldn't
okay.
understand.
She didn't think very much of it yet, but then Peter goes and waves at Gwen Stacy as Peter Parker, and then
For,
she's
like,
like,
why?
"What the fuck?"
And my whole thing with this scene, because then Gwen comes up to the dinner table, and it's very clear that Peter is on a date with a woman.
Yeah.
And she's like grabbing all over Peter.
Yeah,
Dude,
like
so
it's like
weird.
what
It makes-
person would do that? You know?
I don't
Like
know.
I just
man.
don't.
but so that happens. Then you get the classic line: "Was that Spider-Man or was that Peter
Yeah.
Parker?" And then he's like, "She's just a friend from class." And then she gets
Dude.
pissed off and wants to leave.
So, like,
Yeah.
this whole problem with Peter and MJ, it's like Peter is literally just not listening to her. He keeps talking about himself, and he's not listening to her at all. And then his idea of love seems to be like he's still in middle school or something, like, but a really dumb middle schooler, you know? And he's like, "You're my girlfriend, so I love you, and we're gonna be together because." It's like the plot of this
Yeah.
movie, you know? It's like, because, you know? It doesn't make any
And
sense.
there's
It
a
doesn't.
movie detail that he like talked to the violin player and he's like, "Play our song when the ring comes out." And
It's
when
the
ring
one
comes
she
out,
was
the
singing.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
goofy. I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, but so the host will send the champagne anyways. As MJ's walking out, they go and like start
Yeah.
pouring the champagne anyways, and it's clear that the host is just fucking with them. But he's like,
Oh,
"Yeah,
I love it.
I love that." So after that, Peter is all sad. He leaves a voicemail on MJ's machine, and right as he hangs up, she picks up But right after that, he gets a call to go down to the police station, and they tell him about how Uncle Ben was actually murdered by Marco or Sandman.
Dude, I hate this retcon. This fucking retcon is so dumb.
Not just the retcon, but the police would never, ever fucking do that. They would never call in a victim family and be like, hey, you know that piece you got when we caught that last guy who took someone you loved away from you?
Oh, yeah, we
fuck
actually
your peace of mind. He's gone. He's in the street. Look out. The guy who killed your fucking uncle, he's just there. We don't have him. He's out there. And you can't sleep anymore.
Yeah. Be careful.
Think about that now, you cunts. All right, get out of my office. Like, what the fuck was that? Police don't do that.
Yeah, Peter actually had a right to be mad on that one, and everyone's like, "Whoa, calm down."
The cops
Peter.
did some shit like that. They call me in, and they're like, "Yeah, your grandfather he didn't actually just die. He was murdered, and we don't know where he is." It's like, what? Yeah. Thanks. What the fuck? Like, how about you catch him?
The same thing though. Aunt May is like, "Oh, I don't feel safe. I wish if I could get my hands on him, I'd throttle him and stuff." The same way, right?
So, get him out a warehouse window.
Yeah. Then Peter goes and this is when he starts to use the suit and everything. He goes and that night he's thinking about getting revenge on Marco and everything, right? So he's sleeping. The symbiote attaches itself to him. And Peter wakes up with the new suit and tries it out.
He wakes up outside a building, hanging on the side of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't even question it.
Yeah,
he's just like, hey, cool.
No, he's how did I get here? Where am I? But that's it.
And he's just strong now. He's like, this feels good.
Oh, yeah.
He's fapping himself off in the suit. Maybe that's what... Because, in the original Spider-Man, he doesn't have his web, and the suit makes the web for him. So I'm wondering what he gained from getting this suit other than, Well,
it does it makes him stronger and more agile. It improves all of his abilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except it also makes him more aggressive.
Right.
The physicist explains it, don't you know? Because convenience.
And dude, Dr. Connors is very fucking chill about a new life form that is very aggressive and parasitic.
Well, where'd you get this? Don't ask me that ever again.
Don't let it touch you.
Just don't let it touch you. It may eat your soul. Whatever. Goodbye.
If this is a silicon-based life form that doesn't even exist to our knowledge. Peter, what have you done? What is this?
But Connor tells him not to get it on his skin, and then he hears that Marco's is been found. So he literally instantly goes against his advice, puts the suit on, runs out there, and he's ripping up the sewer, I guess.
Yeah, when Eddie Brock is there, yeah.
Yeah, and he just fuck you, Eddie, and breaks his camera.
No, he says my favorite line.
Expensive.
My favorite line of the whole movie, he grabs his camera, smashes it against the wall, and goes, see you, chump.
Honestly, it was pretty good.
It's hilarious.
And because they made Eddie Brock's character so unlikable, it's okay, yeah, kind of fuck you, Eddie. Yeah. If they made him relatable earlier, it'd be oh, wow, Peter's changing. He's being kind of a dick right now. But no, it's well,
what the
Eddie
fuck, Spider-Man?
Fuck him.
Yeah.
That's so rude.
So then he goes and beats the hell out of Sandman. He beats him in the underground railway system, and I thought it was really kind of cool with the stealth there.
But is that how the railway system works?
No,
probably not.
I thought it was just tunnels, not weird.
Roller
coaster ride you would see it.
But that was the coolest fight. I liked that.
No, it was awesome.
It was cool, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remembered that in theaters, when I watched it. It's a scene that stuck out to me.
That one kind of scared me, honestly, because from Sandman's perspective, it's oh shit, he got kind of fucked up.
I don't know. Maybe it's just because
I thought he died. The train car.
They did a train fight in the last one, and it was a lot better. I don't know. Maybe that's just kind of why.
Yeah, but.
I don't know.
And then he uses Sandman's one nemesis, water, to defeat him. I love it.
No fireworks on him, too.
Well, apparently fire also.
A lot of stuff, actually.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not that strong.
The bullets actually kind of hurt him a little bit.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, if you hit him hard enough, he can't turn into sand fast enough. So.
Dude, he's like Gaara from fucking
You're right,
Naruto,
seriously.
dude, yeah.
but yeah, so he fights Sandman. He hits him with this torrent of water, and it dissolves him through this grate. And then he's just like, "Good riddance." And the first thing Peter does after he kills Sandman is go to Aunt May and goes, "Marco was killed last night by Spider-Man." And Aunt May is like, "What the fuck?"
It's like he thought she'd be happy that he murdered someone, just
it's
like
so weird.
But also,
he knows
that
that
he's
he's Spider-Man. From the last movie, she already knows that he's
I watched
Spider-Man.
the life go out of his eyes, Aunt May. Aren't you happy?
Oh my god! I raised a monster.
Yeah.
No, but the first thing he does after he kills
kill
him. The first thing he does after he kills him is he moves his hair slightly in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
yeah.
the angst.
Yeah, you gotta have the emo, or the
And I wanted to
scene
like
kid.
ba or some big dramatic.
It's like, whoa.
thunderclap.
On the nose with it, Raimi.
Yeah. He's wearing his hair down.
He's bad now.
But then we get the what is it? So Peter thinks he killed Sandman, and MJ starts working at the jazz bar. And that night she starts working at the jazz bar. She gets a call from Harry, and they go and have dinner. During this time that they're having dinner, James Franco is still acting super high. Like I was saying, the whole thing where he's like, "Watch this," and then he flips the egg like an idiot.
Well, and like, what? Like, why did they choose it's "Let's Do the Twist" for the song?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
like
I don't
all of
know.
the other ones were like, oh yeah, we're gonna choose some like 2000s pop music, but this they were like, nah, like 1950s.
It's royalty
Pop.
free.
Probably
No,
is.
dude, like James Franco was high as well. I
point.
feel like
And it's
in every
well
scene
known.
you could probably hear fucking like Seth Rogen in the background like
I know. But okay, so after that,
Oh, they kiss. Yeah,
wait,
and-
that's later on though. So
But that's in the same scene, though, right?
no, it's not. So
Eh.
all right,
Yeah.
so okay,
So he makes the eggs,
they kiss.
drops the eggs.
MJ, they kiss. MJ runs out, and then Harry starts to hear his father's voice in his head and remembers that Peter is Spider-Man.
Also, I just want to say, there's this big-ass portrait of Norman sitting in this disgusting chair, and it's a huge portrait. And that chair is right in front of the picture. Like, the same chair.
Really?
I'm
I didn't
like,
notice
did Norman sit there in the same pose constantly behind, in that painting behind him? It's just...
Yeah,
it's
they
a
show-
weird
That's
choice.
hilarious.
They show him sitting in the chair before that, like him sitting in, like looking at the painting in episode
That is
1.
a fucking Chad move.
Yeah.
That is so intimidating.
But yeah,
I
so
can only
MJ
imagine.
But MJ and
Oh,
Harry
jeez.
kiss in front of the painting.
And she's
And,
like, I didn't mean to do it. It's like, what the
gosh.
fuck do you mean you didn't mean to do it?
Who
Yeah,
cares
how that
anyway?
works.
She broke up with Peter.
Oh my god, wait, it's almost like she did the same shit to the astronaut guy in the last movie that she's doing to Peter now.
She's just a bad person. They just
Yeah.
gotta cut out that toxicity
Yeah.
from their friendship, you know?
Except Peter's a garbage person, not like
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
Peter
that's,
John
sucks.
Jameson.
that's neither here nor there.
So what happens next is Peter goes home and Harry finds MJ at her home, breaks through the window.
Oh,
and
his
slams her
memory's
up
back,
against the
by
wall.
the way.
Yeah,
His memory's back after.
and he's like,
yeah.
make divorce or break up with Harry or Peter, right? So she calls him. They're at their house, and he's just sitting in, or he's like, "Hey, I'm over." She calls to talk with him. They haven't talked for a while. He goes to the bridge, and she breaks up with him. And Peter's all upset, crybaby, like, you know,
Sad
he's
boy.
on his way home. And when he gets up, he sees Mr. Dikovic, and Mr. Dikovic is like, "Rent?" And he's like, "You'll get your rent when you fix this goddamn door!"
Yeah, you fix this damn door!
And then after that, he's like, "Oh, he's good. He's a good boy.
He's a good
he must
boy,
Be
yeah.
something must be
Yeah,
troubling
there's something
him or
wrong
something."
with him.
It's like, "Oh, my heart. What a nice
Yeah,
guy."
he's actually nice to Peter.
Yeah.
And so MJ breaks up with Peter, and then after that, he's trying to find some solace. So he goes and meets with Harry, and Harry tells him that he is that he's the other guy. Because when MJ
Like,
breaks
MJ
up
is
with him,
like, yeah.
there's another guy.
Right.
And Harry's like, I'm the other guy, and
It's me.
you know, we kiss, the taste of her lips and shit. But yeah, so she so,
You know, that type of
Strawberries.
yeah, Peter freaks out and leaves, and then
well,
Peter is looking at Harry in the cafe, Harry just looks back at him and winks, like.
And then
Winks
And then a
at
car
him.
goes by and he just...
and he
car goes by and
definitely
he's
just
gone.
ducked down.
I know.
Just
Under the
ducked
table.
under the window.
There's even the like actor sitting next to him is like,
looks
whoa,
down.
what the fuck?
Yeah. He's like, huh?
One this has like, I don't know, one of the only meme lines in the movie where it's like the waitress is like, "How's the pie?" and he's like, "So good," and he
Yeah.
gives her.
Oh
like,
my
that
God,
fucking
yes.
Did you
look,
really?
dude.
Did you really just say there's
Oh,
only
man.
one meme line?
Okay,
in
it's
this movie?
one of
He
the
looks-
few. There aren't as many.
There
That's
are
when he
so
looks
many.
particularly high.
Spend
And
5 minutes on the Raimi meme subreddid, and all of them are from Spider-Man 3.
It's a wretched
It's
hive
Spider-Man
of
3.
scum and villainy.
Gonna cry.
Yeah, that's a good line too.
All right, so
Jesus.
so after that, after Peter and them hang out, he goes and he puts on the symbiote suit again, and he beats the hell out of Harry. It's like not even.
He's not even like the
Close.
suit is on, but he's wearing his normal clothes. Like,
Yeah.
If
And
I'm playing
he-
devil's advocate, Harry was definitely trying to kill him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
Well, what I got from this scene is that they're back to using toys in the bedroom again, so that's nice. You know, like father, like son.
that's right.
but
Well,
yeah. So
it's like
My
this.
tools! I need my tools!
This scene could have been so good, like, because it's like the emotional like peak of their, conflict, but just
It's what
because
3
of the
movies have been building
because of
up
the
to.
movie that it's
Yeah.
in, it just falls kind of flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that sucks. Like,
I still thought it was fucked up when he blew up
oh yeah,
Harry's face.
Dude, when he
Yeah.
did the bomb like that, I was like, wow, you're actually gonna do... Like, I know he's throwing it at you, but he's not your friend's dad. He's like your friend, dude. You've been best
Yeah,
friends
but
with
he's
this
not
guy,
like-
man.
Like, when he he indirectly killed first Green Goblin, right? He backflips to get out of the way and it stabs him. And then he was like, oh my god, and like, tried to make it right. This one, he throws a bomb back at his best friend, doesn't even turn around when it goes
He
off.
walks
Just
away
fucks
smiling,
off.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
my
off he goes.
god.
He doesn't even know if he's dead or not. He doesn't care.
Right.
It
Exactly.
was crazy. Like, and it's more. It says
Dude, it was
more about
fucked.
the symbiote than it says about the relationship. Sadly, and I think it just felt like it was focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah, they wasted
Yeah.
that confrontation on, like, look how bad he is with the symbiote.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I agree. But also, it was like, damn.
Yeah, and that's where you get
It
the
was
part
like
where
that.
it's like, where Harry is there. It's like, she kissed me the way that she used to. Tasted the same as always.
strawberries.
Strawberries.
Jesus.
I licked her butt, Peter. Did she ever let me lick her butt? Stop it!
Oh, and what did y'all think of the music and the fight scene with him and Harry? It was
I
like
didn't
weird,
even
right?
notice it.
It was like
I didn't
weird.
even notice
It was
it.
like weird jazz music.
What?
Playing. It's like
Really?
if you're like go back and look at it if you want, but it's just like a really weird choice for such a emotional scene. But
I thought the amount of jazz that was in this movie was like, I liked it, but it felt
it doesn't
so
fit
out of
Spider-Man
Yeah,
at
what doesn't
all.
fit?
It was like once
Yeah.
he got this, like once I put on the suit, I became a jazz man. Like that's just what happened.
Dude,
Yeah, jazz
Drive That
was like
Funky
his
Soul is a
bad
masterpiece,
boy
and I'm
music.
always happy to hear it. So I took it. I was like, yeah, I don't care if
I
it's
mean,
in the
yeah,
worst
but
fucking
still.
scene in history.
But yeah, so after that, he blows the hell out of Harry's face, and then you see that Brock has given the Bugle a fraudulent photo of Spider-Man wearing the black suit and robbing a bank. Peter goes to the Bugle and calls him out
Oh,
for it in the
will you-
most aggressive manner.
Harlan,
Yeah.
you forgot the scene where the New Yorkers are reading the newspaper article and they're like, I can't believe he did
Yeah.
this. Bubba, and it's just like all so overacted and like
Oh, yeah,
my
it is
daughters love
ridiculous.
Spider-Man.
yeah, it's like oh god,
Oh,
it
man.
is really bad.
It's like you see for 5 years or however long it is in movie time, this guy saving everyone. You see one picture of the dude in a different color suit, completely different, and he's got a bag of money, and you're like, oh my
Also-
god, I can't believe him.
Also,
He's
wasn't
the
it
devil.
a fucking Daily Bugle article where they were just talking about it's not as big as the other papers, and people he's been talking shit about Spider-Man this whole time. So
People wouldn't.
Everyone's like, "Oh shit, this Bugle!" It's like a Huffington Post article, and you're like, "Oh my god, fucking Dolly Parton is a rapist." What the hell?
Yeah.
We do not support these claims.
It's just stupid.
At least it wasn't as racist as Spider-Man 2, where it's like, Spider-Man,
Yeah.
where are you, Spider-Man?
And fucking Mr.
What?
Aziz being...
There's an Asian lady that just is a street performer and sings the
Oh
Spider-Man
no.
thing.
Yeah,
That's so bad.
She plinks on her violin, like tink, tink, tink.
Yeah.
That's bad.
But yeah, so
we didn't talk about that.
But Peter goes up and he slams Brock into the photo, and he's like, "You're a liar,
Dude, yeah,
And,
he says, "You're
like-
trash, Brock."
In front of everyone in the
And
whole
the
office,
line.
dude.
The
And
line
you can
that's
hear
so
Elizabeth
good.
Banks' panties drop to the floor.
I
Oh
love
yes,
that line.
she wants him so badly.
Yeah.
And so Peter goes, he shows Brock the fraudulent photos, and then he knows that it's fake. And he starts begging him for forgiveness. He's like, "Please forgive me. Just don't ruin my life. No paper will have me." And Peter hits him with the line, "If you want forgiveness, find religion." And I was like,
Dude,
You want
my
forgiveness?
fuck?
Get
"Why
religion.
is that in
Yeah.
this?"
Dude, it was
so
honestly
out of
so
place.
badass. I love that line.
It's a
I'm
great
glad you
line.
mentioned Spy Kids 3, because it's like that fucking... Do you think God stays in heaven because he's afraid of his creation?
Like, it comes back. Like, that line comes back because
Dude,
when
yes.
Peter is like taking off the suit,
But it comes
they're
back in
a
such a
church.
stupid way because Eddie Brock is like, Jesus is well known for smiting people and killing them.
Yeah,
It's like, that's not how fucking Jesus works,
That's his
dude.
legacy. That's not how Jesus works.
No, but I had never realized though when I watched the movie before when I was younger that he did go to find religion. He was getting a religion when he got all symbioted up. I never noticed that. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, so after this, we have the famous Toby dance montage
Oh
with
my
him,
God,
like,
yeah.
with
Oh,
the
baby.
jazzy music,
Yeah.
and then
Unlimited
Dr.
finger
Connors.
guns.
Yeah, and like Dr. Connors is gonna tell him more about the symbiote, and
While he's eating cookies with
Yeah,
Mr.
and-
Ditkovich's daughter.
and he's just seducing every woman around him. Mrs.
Got any
No, okay.
Mrs. Daughter is
Okay, no,
wet
he's-
The
for him.
women actually
Emily
have real
Banks is wet
reactions
for
though.
him.
The women on the street are not into it at all.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Yeah.
looking with disgust. The only two women who like him are fucking Mr. Ditkovich's daughter and then the receptionist lady at
No, there's
the
a scene.
Daily
He's
Bugle.
walking down the sidewalk, not the dancing one with the finger stuff,
Yeah.
but he's walking down in another scene, and two women are like, "Oh my fucking god!" Like,
Yeah, they like they
Show me
like
what you
they're
got.
orgasming.
It's the
Yeah.
Ink's hair, bro. Put that shit in front of your eyes. You'll
boom,
get as
she is
many
wet.
women
She,
as you
she
want.
slides off chair. You change hair. You change hair to in front of the face, and boom, she is wet.
She is excited.
But yeah, we have that whole thing. Peter gets some new drip.
There's
he's
also
looking
an edit I highly encourage everybody to watch of him doing the dancing and finger gun with no music. Of just him,
yeah.
like,
Oh my
walking down
God.
the street with
Yeah.
sounds.
I can only imagine.
And it's fucking hilarious.
Ooh.
Anyway. Yeah.
So right after this, we see that Sandman isn't dead. He reforms himself, and it's like all around the little locket again, which is kind of cool. And then Peter is dating Gwen Stacy now, another woman who has fallen wet to his charm, and he takes her to MJ's new bar, and there's like, so MJ gets called up to sing, and then there's this awkward like dance battle between
Dude, it's
Peter
so
and
bad.
MJ.
Dude.
And
No, he hops on a piano and fucking rocks it.
yeah, no,
Like,
Peter
whoa.
absolutely
Dude.
kills it. Like
Yeah.
100%. What a badass. But I don't know, it just feels weird.
This
was
scene
weird.
Oh, it is
so
weird.
bad.
That's because it is weird. It's the weirdest fucking
I don't
thing
know
ever.
what the
It's just
fuck.
like in your face.
I don't know what Sam Raimi was thinking when he was like, yeah, and then he's gonna like do a dance across the entire bar. It's like, ugh.
Dude,
God.
I
was
just
badass.
like,
Sam Raimi knows what makes girls wet,
does
Matthew.
he
You
really
don't.
think
Apparently.
that like the Toby acting it's been building to this point of just how bad it is and how awkward and terrible and just weird, and it's just like this is the climax of Tobey Maguire's weird ass acting.
Dude,
Was Sam Raimi like behind it? Was he like, oh, this is what like we want to make Toby seem cool, and these are the things to make him look cool, and they're not like this. Does he not know what cool is, or does he want Peter Parker to be this terrible?
No, this is what they told. This is what they said. They said, Toby, we want you to look like a cool, slick, bad boy type. You know what I'm saying, hon? And then he's like, okay, so wear all black and make everyone
And
as
he's like,
uncomfortable
check that,
as
Mac
possible.
Daddy.
Listen
Okay,
to
now
jazz.
dig on this.
Now dig
Y'all
on
remember
this.
that line? Now dig
Yes.
on this.
And no, and then he slips
God.
cash to that waitress, and he's like, "Find us a table, hot legs," and he whispers it in her ear.
It's like,
He's like,
holy
find us some
shit,
shade.
who
Find us
is
some
this?
shade.
Yeah, find us some
Honestly.
shade, hot legs. Is this a fucking speakeasy? What the goddamn hell?
Dude, I love it.
I
I
someone
love it.
pulled
But
that
for the
shit.
memes,
He's
not
so
for the
much
movie
cooler.
call.
If anybody pulled that shit anywhere in the fucking world, they'd be like, "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
No, what a
I'm gonna do
gross
that.
pervert. Get
I'm
away
gonna
from
go to
me.
the grill
Yeah.
and I'm gonna do that.
Ugh.
Slip some cash and whisper in your waitress, the
In
hostess's
Jurgen's
ear.
ear.
I'm gonna go up
I
and
just,
find me some
I just some
shade.
shade, hot legs.
I think I would die right there. I'd be happy enough.
And she's like into it in the movie. She's like,
Yeah,
ooh.
yeah. It's,
He called me hot legs.
But which is weird because they make it seem like she's into it, but the face that she makes when she hears it looks like a face of disgust.
I don't know. She does
Like, they
what he
couldn't
says.
decide.
I think because of the money, but I don't think she liked the find us some shade, hot legs. I don't think it didn't look to me like she liked that.
I thought it was strange how they couldn't decide if they wanted Peter to be like getting all the women or just disgusting to all of them.
Dude,
It's
disgusting.
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
yeah. But so
That
right
was
after
what he
this,
was going
Gwen gets really pissed off of that performance. Like Peter absolutely kills it, and she's like, "You did all this for her," and then she leaves.
Right.
Peter goes to confront MJ, who's like in the corner because she's stressed out. The bar manager's like, "Oh, are you okay?"
Oh,
She's fine
wait,
and
and-
everything.
I forgot to mention, as they were going into the jazz bar, fucking Eddie Brock was like creeping and saw them go in together.
Oh yeah,
That was such a weird inclusion. Like,
he's sad because he's like, "Oh, I thought you were dating me," and he's
He's
dating
the new
Gwen
sad
now.
boy.
And Eddie Brock was like, or Gwen goes, "We just had coffee. What do you mean this amazing night?" Incel confirmed.
Eddie Brock, you know who Eddie Brock reminds me of? He reminds me of the fucking, I forget, Titan from Megamind. The, like, dumbass nerdy guy who follows Tina Fey around.
I never
dudes
watched
are-
that one.
Yes.
And then gets power and he's like, yeah, and he's an asshole. That's Eddie Brock.
Yeah. 100%. But so Peter's trying to talk to MJ. She doesn't want to talk to him. The bouncers ask him to leave, and Peter beats the shit out of all of
Dude.
them.
Dude, none
And
of that
MJ.
made sense
Holy
with the
shit.
escalation.
Yeah.
Like,
Why would-
No, he
why did they
backhands
call
her.
so many people
why
over
in
to
the
like?
fuck would she get back with him after that? Regardless of
No,
like,
yeah.
oh, the symbiote. It's like, no, you fucking beat me, dude.
Yeah, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But also,
backhands.
like, why did they call a bouncer over? Like, I get that was a weird dance thing, but he didn't actually do anything aggressive or anything yet. And they call a bouncer over when he's just trying to talk to her, and it's like, no, okay, leave. And he would be like, okay, maybe, or something. I don't know. They didn't.
No, they
I'm just
called the
like-
bouncer because he was dancing like a goddamn maniac on the
Yeah.
bar top and taking,
taking
drinks and
drinks.
throwing
Yeah,
shit
yeah.
and getting on the piano and distressing the
Didn't he
singer.
swing from the chandelier at one point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
The dude
Yes,
was
I
an
forgot
ape.
about that bit.
He's an ape.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, so after he sees MJ beaten on the ground, he runs out of the cafe or the jazz bar, and he just goes to the church, and it's all angsty. It's
Transformation
raining,
Tuesday.
and then he starts ringing the bell, and the symbiote falls off. While that's happening,
Onto Eddie Brock.
yes, and while it's falling off, it falls off onto Eddie Brock because Eddie Brock goes into the church, and he's like, "Dear Jesus, I want you to kill Peter Parker." Like, what the
Please,
fuck?
Jesus, I've been a good boy all year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And this is
then
also
he
what I'm saying,
hears
the
them.
goddamn coincidences of, like, is Eddie just, like, fuck me. He follows them to a jazz club, and then he's like, time for me to go to a church. You know how many goddamn churches there are in New York?
Dude,
you go to a
so
church,
many.
like, there's so much everything. Like, I swear to God, New York must be like somebody's backyard in these fucking movies.
It has to be a cathedral with a very large bell.
But like,
and I think there's
God
only one
damn
of
it.
those in
How about
New
you
York.
have him still
doubt
trying to track down Spider-Man and take pictures of him and be like, no, I can save my job still. I can find him still. And here he is in this bell tower. I'm going to take pictures now. Oh no, it's falling on me. Like, there's just like so many stupid motherfucking coincidences in this movie.
And when it first falls on
Dear
his
God.
jacket, he immediately, and it's like moving, he immediately takes his jacket off, doesn't let it touch him, throws his jacket
looks
away,
all the
and
way
then
up the
still stands
goddamn-
there looking
Yeah.
up, waiting
all
for
the way
more
up the
shit
bell
to
tower.
fall on him. What?
all the way up while Peter's flailing around,
Like,
and
he knew
black
that
shit
thing
is
was
spewing out of him, and he goes, "Is that Peter Parker? What the fuck?"
Dear God, I want you to kill
Thank
Peter
you,
Parker.
God.
Thank you, Jesus.
Hey,
That's the
if
moment.
anything, this movie is about faith, and Eddie Brock died a believer. Oh my
It's an
God.
allegory for Jesus. You're right.
Yeah. But okay, so Eddie gets the shit falling on him. He's symbiote man now, and they never call him Venom. And
Yeah, they don't.
so Peter or Aunt May comes to Peter's
So
apartment.
wait. The suit, like Peter didn't have any clothes on after the suit got
No,
pulled
he was
off.
naked.
Yeah. So did he like swing home naked? What's the deal?
Yeah.
Absolutely, he did.
100%.
Yeah.
Do you think he walked around? Do you think he hailed a cab?
I don't know
Dude,
which
he-
is
he
worse
literally
though,
looked-
seeing you fucking flying by and his dick's just out.
How small do you think his
Dude,
Peter
well, that's
got
what
in the
happened.
cold?
Okay.
He's flying through the cold New York air.
Just
It was
like,
rainy
walking
too.
around.
Yeah, the cold rain.
Jesus.
Oh man. But oh yeah, so Aunt May comes over to visit Peter once he gets back from his naked streaking from coming home, and Aunt May is like, "Oh, I haven't heard anything about you proposing to MJ. How did that go?" And as you can expect, they just. I don't
Well,
even
MJ
really
or-
remember what happens.
Well,
It
Aunt
kinda
May,
just-
I beat her.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not really ready to get married, Aunt May. I wasn't the man that you wanted me to be. And like Aunt May's idea of marriage is like the man has to give his entire life up for the woman. And Peter
She
clearly
said
can't
both
do that.
people need to like prioritize.
No, she didn't
the
say
other.
both.
No,
but
right,
she
I
I
know.
know the man.
She
That's what I'm
could.
saying, and I wish she did because it's kind of like
Yeah.
the man
Yeah.
has to value the
Well,
wife more than himself. And it's like,
Yeah.
It could
yeah,
also
but
be seen
should go
as
both ways,
she
I
wants
think.
both partners to think that. It's just she didn't talk about the woman's perspective because she's only talking to her grandson or what aunt or nephew or whatever the fuck because he's a male. I don't know. But
it's
it
another
could go both
message of
ways. I
like,
didn't like it
don't
either.
do
I
what
didn't
you
like
want,
it.
do what is
Someone
right,
else wants.
no matter what. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
Okay, whatever, I guess. But fuck you, Aunt May. I'm gonna marry
Yeah.
her when I want, and I'm not gonna care about her. Maybe I'll beat her sometimes. Who knows?
He did
my
say,
God.
"I hurt her, Aunt May. I hurt
Yeah.
her." So
But she didn't
he
think
didn't
literally.
lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But during this time, Sandman is just like sulking in a street randomly, and
In an
Venom, I
alleyway.
guess- yeah, and Venom is swinging around, and they find each other. And I know that Venom
Somehow.
got his memories from the symbiote and everything, but that still seems really weird. Wouldn't the symbiote think that he was dead?
They don't even talk about memories from the symbiote. Even they,
Yeah,
they don't
no.
explain that at all. He just finds
Well,
them.
Well,
Yeah.
he says, like, when Eddie Brock meets Marco, he's like, "I've been looking for you. I know that it'll take both of us
Oh.
to beat him."
No,
And that doesn't make sense, because he would think that the Sandman is dead.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I thought it was more because like
Ah.
he knew that they had fought earlier at the Spider-Man parade thing, and he was
Yeah,
like,
but
"Hey,
he would think
we
that
should
they
No,
would
but
team
Harlan's
up."
right because he did the water like pipe,
Oh yeah.
and
Okay.
they thought
Yeah.
thought he was dead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
So it doesn't really make sense. And I know that they tried to cover their tracks with the, "Oh, it's symbiote. He maintained all of the memories from Spider-Man," but that doesn't hold up.
also,
Right. That's
like,
a weird. Yeah.
why do like Eddie Brock's teeth change when he's
don't
like?
know.
It's weird. And it
becomes
looks really
British.
bad. Like,
It looks
And
like
also
the Halloween store Dracula teeth.
Yeah. And it's also just weird how fast they team up, because Venom is like, hey, we should maybe team up. And Sandman's like, okay.
Bro, are you a fucking alien demon? Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Why do you have Spider-Man's
Are you
powers?
made out of sand? Are you a demon? Yeah,
And he
we
looks
should be
like
friends.
Spider-Man.
We should be friends.
Friends.
But okay, so after this, Peter like creeps on MJ to go talk to her and try and apologize for beating the shit out of her, and then he decides not to. MJ comes down, calls a cab, and the cab has Eddie Brock in it. And Eddie Brock just straight up kidnaps her, the car and all, and builds this giant web in the middle of the city.
Dude, like going here to like they immediately just jump into like the finale of the movie. It felt so abrupt. I was just like, it just happens, you know?
And this is the longest movie in the trilogy.
Yeah.
It feels
Dude, it's so
rushed,
long.
like the whole time. Feels like scenes are just like bam, and the pacing, it just like can't keep up.
Yeah.
Like,
It's because they
it's a
shoved
lot
like two
of
different
nothing.
themes into one with the
Yeah.
Venom and the Sandman stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
I just feel like it's so much nothing. Like it's 2 hours and 20 minutes long, and 2 hours and 10 minutes of it were just like nothing. This movie could have been a 30 minutes long.
Well, that would equal 10 minutes.
What?
He said it was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and 2 hours and 10 minutes is nothing.
I didn't follow.
Sorry, it was an unnecessary point. I was just trying to make a joke. I thought those brains would keep up.
Nope,
But-
I got monkey brain.
But yeah, so anyways, Peter sees it on the news that MJ is caught, and he gets his old
He has a
Spider-Man
police
suit.
scanning radio, and he sees
I
it on
know.
the news,
Yep.
and that's how he learns.
Yep.
Anyway.
But so he goes to save her, and he puts his old suit on, and when he goes to Harry, who he doesn't know is alive or dead.
Yeah, for real.
He hasn't spoken to, was just abusing MJ, and he's like, "Hey, bud, we need help. I need help."
Dude, his face is fucked.
Oh my
His
god,
face
that's
is
exactly what I was
fucked
His
thinking.
eye
Like,
is fucked up too.
Yeah,
He's like
big
his eye is
fuck.
It
He's
is
the Phantom
bad.
of the Opera,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh my
Dude,
god.
and that's what I thought of too. Like, that's what the
He
Phantom
scarred
should have
that
looked
boy
like.
forever.
He's like...
Oh man, but yeah, so he's like, "No, fuck you," and then Peter's like, "All right, I guess I'll fight him myself," and he goes to fight them, and then immediately after this, Bernard, the butler, is like, "Oh, Mr. Harry Norman, I've seen many things in this house. One of those things that I saw was that Spider-Man did not kill your father.
I know this for a fact.
Turmoil over this about your father being dead and Spider-Man doing it. I
Dude,
know
no,
that
and
you're
he-
mad, and I decided to say nothing ever.
he says, Harry, I loved your father as I love you. It's like, what is the
No, you
fucking
don't.
context of this weird
Harry,
relationship?
Your father and I shared a steamy passion.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Before your father became
And
the
talking
Green
about-
Goblin.
Yes.
That's why
Dude,
he didn't
he-
like him dating MJ. He's like, maybe you're gay, Harry. I don't
You're
know.
It's
actually
like they
our
used
child,
this one
Harry.
scene to make him Alfred. They wanted to make the whole Alfred thing to where he's close with the butler.
Yeah,
but they did that all in this one goddamn scene.
Well, and
I think it should have been more like Woodhouse, where fucking Harry treated him like shit.
Yes.
But I want to say
I
before we
do-
go on,
Yeah.
but like I promise you that painting room or the room that holds all the gear and the Green Goblin stuff, that was just a sex dungeon before for him and Bernard. And then
Toys
once he
in the
got
bedroom,
the
man.
Sphinx
I'm telling
Bernard
you.
just got so angry because their sexy playtime was gone. He's the one who is
Dude,
truly
well,
hurt.
he says, like, he goes, your friends love you. Really? Really? They love you. So MJ is like, kisses him and then goes, nope, and runs away.
Yeah.
And that's his interaction with her. And then he exploits her to break up with Peter, so that's fucked. Like, they're not friends anymore.
Peter throws a bomb in
Peter
his face.
disfigures his face in an attempt to kill him I don't think his friends love him. I think
Yeah,
that's
they're
just
all
weird.
kind of bad.
love you, Harry. Your
And Harry,
friends love you.
also, I wanted Harry to be like, Bernard, you don't know what the fuck you're talking. Look at my face. What? I'm not going out there for them. They are not my friends. They're my I hate them. But he goes.
I should be out
right.
there fighting with Venom and Sandman.
Yeah, you're right.
There is one other bit of trivia about the scene and the editor's cut. So like there's a different version of how this plays out. Like in the other version, you know, Spider-Man shows up, he's like, hey, we gotta save MJ, da da da. Instead of Bernard being the one who convinces him to go, it's more of like an internal thing with Harry where he like sees the shattered picture of the three of them together, and it's more he just like is like, shit, I gotta fucking go and help my friends, you know, type of deal. And it's like that's a lot more you know, compelling than just dropping exposition, you know, and being like, oh yeah, like yeah, so I just thought that was interesting.
It's like this movie, I feel like they show you all these things where you're like, wow, like Peter's a bad person, MJ's a bad person, Harry is getting like, what the fuck is going on? And they show you these things. And then characters say the exact opposite of what you've been watching, like it's a fact. And then the rest of the characters are like, you're right. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
No,
MJ,
that is not right.
Yeah. Aunt May's like, you're a good man, Peter. I'm like, no, he's not. We just watched 30 minutes of him being a shit. And then the last movies I don't even need to talk about. It's like, your friends love you. No, they fucking don't. They do not.
But yeah, so after that, they go into the big fight. So Peter goes, and he goes to fight Eddie, and Eddie's like, I want to humiliate you, Peter. And he's like fucking with his mask or whatever. And then MJ drops a cinder block on Venom's head. And, you know, shenanigans ensue. It's a big CGI fight. It's not that great.
Why is, like, the crowd gathered around the building where a car is very clearly going to fall at some point? And they're like, yeah, let's just sit under it and watch the fight.
Dude, no, and
But
they're
then-
right
but
under
then
it,
where
but
are-
then
where
when
are all
shit
those-
falls, no one's there.
Yeah, where are all those people when shit falls and when Spider-Man loses his fucking mask and he's at ground level?
Yeah.
Where are all those people?
And then we also have the horrible
Well, we
news
have the
reporter
Sandman literally
people.
just attacking civilians. Like,
Yep.
that was
What the fuck
first
is the
sign was.
Sandman's motivation? He was getting
There's
money
none.
for his daughter, yes. But now he's just like, kill Spider-Man?
Well, yeah, he just wants him out of the way so he can steal money, I guess.
Yeah, no.
But I'm not a
weird.
bad... I just have bad luck.
Yeah.
Well, fuck him.
Yeah,
But
fuck
dude,
him.
the fucking reporters in this scene are like overacting to like the 11th degree. They're like,
it's
so
the brutality of it, I don't know if I can take anymore. And it's
Where's
like,
Spider-Man?
I can't watch,
it's
but
like,
then they keep
dude,
standing there
like what?
looking at it.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And Sandman looks like the fucking Great Mighty Pooh. Like, he looks so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Where does he get all this sand? Like, they
I
don't
think
have sand in construction
That's
sites.
my biggest problem. Where do you get all the sand?
Where
Dog?
did all the sand come from? I've been to construction sites.
I think
they don't have just tons of sand.
So like they have that big truck hanging over the taxi. I thought the sand was in the truck.
Maybe
And then
you're right.
but then it's like that's such a convoluted thing to be like it drops at this time freeing him, and it's like, dude, just don't
All
do that.
according to plan.
Yeah.
Dude, no, it's the sand depot. He brought it with him.
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. It doesn't make any sense.
It's really dumb. But
And also, most of the time, it's like just the Sandman or Venom. It's not the Sandman and Venom fighting Spider-Man. Even once Eddie gets there, towards the end,
Harry,
they take him out one by one.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a part where Venom's like web Spider-Man's arms behind a beam, and Spider-Man's just on the beam, and Sam is just fucking pow, 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 pounding him. So,
All right,
there's that.
what?
You broke up a little bit, Ross. What were you saying?
oh, I was just saying, yeah, but that's the only part that they fight him together, you know?
Yeah.
Like the rest of it, they're just kind of like, oh, I'll do it.
Well, they would have
one-on-one,
totally
I'll
smoked
wait.
him, so. They did
Oh
it pretty
yeah,
well.
they would have killed him. Peter sucks.
Yeah. Peter sucks.
But so Peter probably would have lost one-on-one to Venom too if he didn't see that the poles when Harry gets knocked off the board when he
Dude.
slams into the wall.
Yeah, but that's comic book stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
I'm going
and-
to lose. Oh, here's this thing now. The MacGuffin can save me.
Okay, also, but they had to like show the overlay of the church scene to make sure that our stupid audience
I know.
asses could understand
Yeah.
that it's the sound that's the victory thing. It's like, you think we couldn't get that
It's
with
like,
how he did that whole ass scene?
I
And
thought
then-
it had to be a bell.
Yeah, like, I don't.
Well,
what's
it's
up-
I
like
thought
they-
it was the rain.
They should have alluded. They should have had stuff like
I
throughout.
thought Jesus was killing Peter Parker.
It would have really helped if throughout the movie they had stuff where it's like loud noises were affecting Peter
Yeah.
while he was like fighting crime.
How about when
the
he's
symbiote
fighting
suit.
Sandman underneath the city with trains
Yeah.
roaring past
Yeah,
him?
yeah.
Wow! Nothing?
No,
Trains are quiet, dude. You know that?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Fucking, what are you, retarded? I want to live near a train track.
Yeah.
So quiet.
It's like a white noise machine.
Yeah, but I don't know. I thought the whole thing, like, this movie seemed like he didn't have any effort in it.
You totally missed though Harry sacrificing himself with the glider and
Well,
getting stabbed.
before that, even though when Venom had that super sharp thing to Toby's neck, right, and he waited to talk.
Oh,
he should have
yeah.
just murdered him right there.
Yeah.
Especially like he had that thing to his neck, totally ready to do it, and he has the symbiote suit that makes people massively aggressive, right? And he doesn't do anything, and then he murders Harry instantly,
Yeah.
Yep.
fucking instantly.
I
It's
do
like,
kind
what?
of I like one thing I will say is I know it's like it's cheesy and it's like it's like flipping something that happened before. It's like Norman gets killed because he's stabbed by his own glider, and then Harry gets killed because he's stabbed by his own glider. And
I
it's
like that was
that's
full
kinda
circle.
cool, yeah.
But one was trying to
Hooray.
kill Spider-Man, the other was trying to save Spider-Man. That
Yeah.
was a nice theme. That was
Yeah.
a good way to wrap that up.
It's
I
just in a
enjoyed-
really
I
bad
enjoyed
movie,
that.
but
Yes.
Well,
Thought that was fitting.
yeah.
the thing is that, like, yeah, it's a good idea, but it wasn't really executed very well. And
Yeah.
it felt like Harry, it just kind of felt like, oh, this is happening because it kind of sounds cool.
You know what would have
Rather
been
than
cool?
actually making sense.
I just thought of a better way to do it. Here we go. So they're in this construction fight. Venom's pinned Harry, and Spider-Man's like trying to pull him off. And Harry goes, Spider-Man, get out of the way. Calls the glider to him to stab him. Stabs through Venom, stabs into him, but he beats Venom that way or something. And then, he had to stab himself to beat Venom, not just like, don't
Yeah.
stab
Yeah.
Peter, I'm jumping in front of it.
But
Something like that.
the Bell Church flashback thing.
Oh, you're right.
Ben, the noises.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought
I'll
that was
take it all
cool, though,
back.
when he did stab those pipes into the ground. I
Yeah,
thought that was
Oh
That
yeah, I
was cool,
like
yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, like the glider could have pinned Venom against the wall for him
Yeah.
to
Then,
Yeah.
bell
Do
thing.
that, yeah.
And Harry sacrificed himself to set that up or something.
yeah.
But then that would be a good idea.
It's like
Like, this is what I'm
fucking,
saying. This is what
Goku
I'm saying.
and-
I
Goku
should
and
not be
Raditz.
able to do that. If I can say these things to your movie, like if I myself, a fucking dumb 23-year-old kid in Texas, is like, that would have been better. You
Dude, just
suck.
give him your address.
You suck. Like, I'm not that smart. Like, it's your responsibility as a movie maker. You have the means. You make it good.
Also, how
Like,
much
why
thought
are
did
you in
put
that
into
position if
twist?
I can think of better things than you? That's not good. And that irks me a lot in movies where it's like,
Yeah.
if I could clean up your plot, you made a shit movie.
Well, I think that's kind of what
Oh, yeah.
set it apart set Iron Man apart, is that it kind of did have those things where it was more cohesive and it wasn't just, ooh, flashy things, look cool, bang boob. It was like the way that he beats Obadiah is with the icing problem
Yeah,
that he was
it was-
facing earlier on.
It's
I don't
like
know. I
they
think that's a
actually
lot
use
better.
Chekhov's gun and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Versus this feels like it was made by amateur writing students.
Mm-hmm.
But after this, after Spider-Man blows up the symbiote because they trap it in the poles, and he pulls Brock out, Spider-Man's going to blow up the symbiote with one of Harry's bombs, and Brock sprints to try and stop it, and he gets blown up too, and you see his skeleton and everything.
Yeah.
It was pretty gruesome.
You gotta have the classic.
And this is what I'm saying. Like, how fucking strong are the goddamn pumpkin bombs? They need to make up their mind. Will it scar a face or will it vaporize a human? Like, which one is it?
Because the goblin dude.
They have different levels of power, okay, Ben?
Oh,
they
you're
just
right.
don't
The
differentiate
goblin
them
gas.
at all
It's the
for the
goblin
body.
Goblin gas. They made it so he was stronger, dude.
Oh yeah.
Right.
But after this, you have the cringiest scene ever. So Peter knows that his friend, who just saved him, was stabbed in the chest, and instead of doing anything, the other villain, Sandman, sees Brock, who just got killed, and he's like, "I didn't want it to be like
I'm gonna
this.
get out of here.
I want I'm actually a good person."
Yeah, no.
Seemed like you wanted it when you were pounding my chest to death.
And then this is the part where we get the fucking like huge drop of even more exposition where he's like, I actually only killed your uncle accidentally. I was scared.
Bullshit.
So you should forgive me maybe. And then
Just like you accidentally killed half the city, or just like you accidentally slammed your hammer cock into me several times.
and then,
Or just be like,
accident?
Spider-Man could be like, if you're actually sorry, turn yourself in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Do that.
Like did he let him go or did he
Yes!
die?
Yes.
But
He
like
let
no,
him-
but
he let him go.
I don't know. It's like it's weird. They don't really spell out what
He's
what
Sam, he
happened.
can't
It's
die.
it's weird.
No,
It's
he
so
didn't
random.
die.
He should have just,
literally
like,
turned
left.
into his smoke monster, and he just went away.
It was
Yeah.
weird.
It was so dumb.
It was
But
weird.
after that, Peter does that entire conversation with Sandman while Harry is dying.
Yep.
And he goes over, and Harry
Fuck him.
can only say, "You're my best friend, Peter. I love you, and I forgive you." And then dies.
Yeah.
Why the
Yeah.
fuck did he... Why? It's so,
Dude,
like...
it was a rough movie.
Well,
we
I
get
also hate
the
that
funeral at the end though, and we get
Yeah.
to see Toby ugly
have some
cry.
inner
Oh
monologue.
my god,
And
yes.
Flash
Close it
Thompson
out.
is there, and then
He ugly cried way harder on the bridge when MJ broke
Oh
him.
yeah, yeah,
True.
Yeah.
It's like, I love you!
Well, and then we end the movie with MJ,
MJ
singing
sings us
"I'm
out.
through with love," and then Peter shows up, and it's like, oh, but they're gonna get back together. And
I
then
thought it was
MJ,
like... I
MJ,
don't know, man.
MJ stops singing, and no one like questions it. They're just like, why was that lady even singing? I don't know. Let's just keep eating dinner.
It was
or
a
whatever.
very
It's, like,
somber
weird.
end. Like, that's
Yeah,
how
no.
the trilogy ends. And it's
Yeah.
just like, fuck, man. Your friend died, and MJ's like, I'm through with love, but you just kind of slow dance because you're both
Yeah.
in pain. And then the ends, I was
Yeah.
like, damn. That was
No,
very,
movie doesn't
like-
make sense, dude.
Ah.
But
Almost
no one like
everything
talked,
in this
and it
movie.
ends without any dialogue. It's just like, wow, okay. That was even more somber than the end of the first one, which ends in a goddamn graveyard.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. It almost went like full circle-ish, where it's like the first one ended in a graveyard, the second one also ended in a graveyard, or the third one ends in a graveyard, but then they
I
had
think
that
the best
scene
way-
tacked on.
I think the better way to end this would have been to, instead of it being Harry's funeral, it would have been Aunt May's funeral. And
But
then
where would
it,
that would have come from left?
That
it
would've
would have
come-
just, I mean, it would have just been a bigger dick punch, you know? Just like, out of nowhere. Like,
yeah, just because fucker, she's taking
Yeah,
too much
why
shit.
not?
The
Oh,
only
dude.
good thing in this trilogy, monsters. No, it's like so. Also, MJ never tells Peter that Harry like threatened her to break up with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
feel that we would not be doing this we wouldn't be doing this trilogy justice if we didn't talk about the fact that there were going to actually be 3 more movies after this, and the
Wait, what?
and yeah, it's so like you can read about it online. There's all kinds of like leaked stuff that's come out, like concept art and stuff, but there's actually going to be a 4th, 5th, and 6th movie with Sam Raimi returning to direct and Tobey Maguire reprising as Spider-Man. Some of the villains that they were going to use include the Lizard, finally, and they were going to have the Vulture as John Malkovich was going to play him.
Dude, I would watch the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
I would love to
I mean,
see
yeah,
that
but how
one.
old
like
would
his two
freaking
faces.
Toby be by that point?
I
John
think
Malkovich
it would have
sounds
been
like a
fine.
great casting choice for the Vulture.
I don't
Like,
know, man.
You could have done something like Into the Spider-Verse where he's like middle-aged Spider-Man
Okay, yeah, if
with
you
like
did some shit
marriage
like that.
problems. I mean, they wouldn't have done that, but it would have been
No.
neat. And Felicia Hardy, who would have been played by Anne Hathaway, but it's weird because they weren't going to have it be Black Cat. It would have been the Vulturess.
Anne Hathaway
was
was
just
Catwoman
gonna be-
in the Batman movies, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
in
that's
Dark Knight
weird.
Rises, yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be like a cat person twice.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
guess
No,
the
she was going to be the
Vulturess, whatever.
Vulturess. She
But
was going
that's
to be the
stupid.
Vulturess.
Yeah, I agree with. Well, yeah,
John Malkovich was going to be with Anne Hathaway. Come on.
Yep.
it's weird.
That's dumb.
They love each other. That's love.
But obviously, they decided not to do that. So it's like, do you think it was the right decision to reboot,
Yes.
or could they have eventually maybe turned the ship?
I don't think they should have rebooted. I think they should have just left this as is and not done another Spider-Man almost.
I really don't think it matters at all because it's all
Yeah.
just been like we've been waiting for the MCU to just swallow Spider-Man. Now that it's finally happened, we can like rest easy. We're like, okay, cool. It's part of the continuity and stuff. Like I like these standalone Spider-Man movies. They have a charm. Like they do. I still kind of enjoyed them. Like I don't want to just say I hated them. Like I get why there's a cult following. But I don't really care if it's rebooted or if it kept going because now it's with the MCU and that's kind of where it belongs. So
Yeah.
it kind of ended up happily.
Yeah, and I don't know, just thinking about this movie with the context of Batman Begins came out before it, and then Iron Man came out the year after it. I don't really feel that a Spider-Man 4 in this quality would have ended up feeling good. It would have felt really antiquated, I guess.
What if it was a massive
'cause,
jump in quality though? Like they
I
took the
just
lessons
don't
that was
think they would
learned.
have done it though.
Yeah, I don't think so.
they
I
would
don't
have
think
pulled
so
it off.
either. I think it would have been similar stuff, and it would have just been more disappointing. I'm glad I never watched the Amazing Spider-Mans actually, but the Tom Holland Spider-Mans I really like. So I'm glad they were able to do something different and change it.
Well,
Yeah.
just think
I
about
like
this.
these
So
because of
compare.
nostalgia and other things, but they aren't objectively good in a lot of ways.
Compare Christopher Nolan's Batmans to Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. The Batman movies to really develop, and you see his directing style, and you can tell they're his product. Sam Raimi does the same thing, but it's he doesn't. I don't feel like anything improves. It kind of it's either stagnates or it gets worse. So I have no faith that Sam Raimi would make another movie.
I mean, you also have to take into consideration
about that, Ben, he's directing the next Doctor Strange movie.
Is
What?
he really?
He is,
Why?
yeah.
Well, but he's also
Multiverse of
now
Madness.
he's definitely more overseen by Disney.
Yeah,
Disney
that's
Corp
true. And Kevin Feige.
executive
Kevin
and
Feige, yeah.
Right. But left
That's
to his
true,
own, like Nolan was with Batman, I have no faith in him like I do with Nolan.
Yeah.
Well, you have to take into consideration the kind of things that Sam Raimi, makes versus the kind of things that Christopher Nolan makes, dude.
I know.
Christopher Nolan tries to have this dark, gritty, really smart movie, and Sam Raimi made Ash Evil Dead. That's
Yeah.
his thing. He has.
It's not just too fair to compare them, but
I
if
think
you're
they're
really
completely
if
different
you're
director
gonna
styles.
give Sam Raimi the reins for 3 more movies after these 3 movies, why? Pick another director.
Yeah,
He did
I
not
agree.
do that well with it.
There are so many memes that just show. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not great. What else did he do, Harlan? Movies
Sam
that Sam
Raimi?
Raimi did.
So Sam Raimi is a horror director for the most part. He did things
Oh.
like The Grudge 2. Some of the new things he's going to be working on are Don't Breathe sequel, a lot of Evil Dead stuff. He did Drag Me to Hell, which was, spooky. He did the
Well,
Xena
interesting
Warrior
choice.
Princess stuff. Yeah, so that kind of stuff.
Alrighty then.
Yeah. Well, I guess the only other stuff I'd like to add is there were a few bits of trivia that didn't really make it into the synopsis. And this one is more just I think it's funny than anything else. All of the screams that Kirsten Dunst had in this movie were just recycled from Spider-Man 2. So that just really tells you the level of commitment people had for this movie. And let's see, what was the other one? Yeah, that's pretty much all the trivia I had. Anyone have any final thoughts on this movie?
I do. I don't know really what themes they were going for with this movie. there wasn't really a big lesson that was had at the end. And I think they could have focused a lot more. Like, you have this dynamic with Peter, MJ, and Gwen, where Peter uses Gwen to get to MJ and stuff, and it's like using people like he's a fucking parasite using this girl.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, his symbiote. And then, like, in the comic, in the show, Venom had this whole thing of, like, he wants to be on Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man is peak human excellence. So, of course, the symbiote is like, yeah, I want to be I want him to be my host. So he just uses Eddie to get to Spider-Man. So you could have had this, like mirrored conflict that you could have dived into, but no. And that's just kind of wasted opportunity.
Well, also, Venom is usually, like, he's a little bit, like, dejected by the symbiote, too. Because the symbiote constantly talks about Spider-Man, and that's why Venom is obsessed with Spider-Man. Because he has,
you could have,
he feels this need to try and be better than Spider-Man because he wants to keep the symbiote.
Right, and he never is. So, like, yeah. I wish Eddie wasn't just an asshole, so that you could have had a dynamic. And then finally he's given power, and he's like, finally I'm like Spider-Man and this and that, and I can take it down, and I'm better than him. And then the symbiote, he tells that he can see that it just wants to leave him again. And he's like, oh, I didn't need to depend on that to give me value. And then maybe he realizes that blah, 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 teams up with Spider-Man. I don't know. Like,
it would have been cool if the symbiote detached from him at first and tried to go back to Peter, and then Peter tried to pull him off again or something.
I don't know what this movie was trying to tell me. What was the lesson?
I think the theme was supposed to be forgiveness, but I don't know. They just don't do a really good job of it.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
The forgiveness is it's all spoken and none of it's earned.
Yeah.
And they shoehorn Sandman in to reinforce it, and it sucks. And yeah, it's the most it's kitty depth. Like, it's the shallow end of the pool.
Yeah.
But I do feel like this entire fucking trilogy has actually just been about being bipolar. No, honestly, for real. Like, all the villains, Tobey Maguire, MJ, Harry, how just, like, split changes in personality and shit. Like, Green Goblin was Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Doc Ock was, like, taken over by arms, but then went back to good, but this and that. Fucking Peter with the symbiote. Fucking Harry and Goblin Gas, and oh wait, no, they're actually my friends. Yeah. Like, they used that so many times in all three movies. I just, like, is that supposed to be the real carrying thing? There's just, like, this bipolar atmosphere with all the characters. Is it bad directing?
No, yeah, it's bad directing and it's bad writing. They didn't have a plan. It's literally just, they did this because it's an easy writing trope. Like,
it felt like I was watching a bunch of deeply broken people trying to cope with having split personalities.
Every single movie, the climax happened, MJ was caught, they fight, and then bada bing, bada boom, baby, Spider-Man wins. That's all. Like, every single time, the formula is the same. You have an enemy that is exposed to some science experiment, and they have trouble understanding their values. And then they capture MJ, Spider-Man wins, day's done. That's the simple formula for the Spider-Man movie, and it sucks.
Yeah,
I mean, most of it just seems to come down to because movie, and that's the explanation for a lot of, like, key plot points.
Yeah.
For, like, why'd they put this there? Why'd that happen? Oh, why is that like that? Oh, because movie, and it makes the movie go forward.
Like, Peter and MJ remind me of... They have the couple dynamic of people that you know are in just, like, horrible relationships but won't leave each other. like no, it'll work, and everyone's on the outside like, oh god, man, like, this is hard to watch, and we have to sit there and watch this, and it's like, you're torturing me, Sam. Don't do this to me anymore. I already made it through high school. I don't need to witness these couples anymore.
I guess to sum up my thoughts of this trilogy, I would really say only watch these if you're, like, nostalgic about them. I don't really think that they're really worth watching if you've never seen them before. That's just my take on it, though. But anyone else got anything they want to add?
Probably not. I mean, just, like, on that point, yeah, it's like the nostalgia and the memes are what keep me going. Like, I'll watch these again probably eventually, but that's why. It's not because they're very well done movies.
Yeah.
I rank these titles the same as they're numbered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the first one the most, second one's pretty good for a few parts, and this one sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, so how I rank this is that I think the second one is actually the best.
Yeah.
And
I
I
agree,
think that three is fun to watch, I think. Mostly because it's like a meme. Like, I had an easier time watching this movie because all of them are super, super long, and they don't actually do anything throughout the entire movie.
And
So-
they feel long. Which
Yeah,
is a
and they
bad
feel
thing.
really long. So the first one and the second one I would get bored of at points. But the third one kind of kept me entertained, not because of the story, not because of anything else, simply because of the
Oh my god.
oh my gosh, simply because of the
The
boring
cameo.
nature of it.
You like the third one better than the first one?
Do I like the third one better than the first one?
Yeah.
I enjoy watching it more.
Okay.
So yes.
No, I don't like it better. I don't think it's a better movie, but I enjoy
Okay.
it more. If
I'll
that
take
makes
I'll
sense.
take that.
Fair.
I'll allow it.
Anyone?
I like the first one, honestly. Like, I'm surprised that I liked it as much as I did. It wasn't like beautiful and it wasn't a masterpiece, but it felt like its own movie. And Green Goblin was like creative, and they really kind of transformed the character. And these other movies just kind of were like, yeah, here's this villain, and we're gonna do him worse than the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone got anything they want to plug?
No.
Not for me.
Well, I actually have something now. Wow.
Ooh.
Oh.
Me and Matthew are gonna play the fucking
Dinosaur Planet. Yeah.
Dinosaur Planet N64 mod of like Star Fox Adventures.
Oh,
We're
shit.
gonna start that tomorrow on Tuesday the 9th.
Yeah.
So
Hooray.
check out Hey Ocarina with 5 E's to watch
Yeah.
me and Matthew talk shit and drink, I guess. Play this game.
Aside from that, check out the Boyos Discuss on Twitter at Boyos Discuss. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Join us next week when we'll be doing our one-off review of Alien. So till next time, always remember, with great power comes great responsibility.